Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at Celebrations, the 25th anniversary set. Just around the corner we have the 30th anniversary coming upon us quite quickly. And so I thought we'd take a look at this set because this has an immensely impressive growth story over the past year for many of the cards, yet still quite undervalued for what the cards are in this set. We're going to be looking at some sealed product as well. So without further ado, let's get into it. To start off, I thought we'd take a look at the duo, and I actually mentioned these cards during my black and white video. Link in the description if you guys want to check that video out. But this is the Zekrom Celebrations version. Basically, the Zekrom and the Reshiram respectively are reflections of the original black and white base full arts. They were the first full arts ever introduced into the Pokemon TCG, and of course the two main legendary dragon types from the black and white era as well. Celebrations cards have this nice little Pikachu stamp with the cheeks saying 2 and 5 for 25th anniversary. Different texture as well for these cards. They have almost shimmery effect to them. And if we take a look at the growth over the past year, we see it's had a 393% growth, and yet it's still at $7.33. That's just to show how undervalued these cards were, going for $1.50 for some sensational artworks. Now, one of the reasons is because these cards are quite easy to pull from the set, but as sealed product is becoming more scarce and people are cracking open the product less and less, the cards are starting to finally grow in value. And I think that these cards are also great pieces for a lot of people who can't quite get their hands on the older vintage versions or the original versions of a lot of the cards that are going to come up in this list. Celebrations is a fantastic way to have them in your binder at the end of the day. So unlike in Generations, which was for the 20th anniversary, where they had completely new artworks and just a very fantastic set on its own, this is a nice reflection of historical cards from the TCG, and so it kind of has the added benefit for people who come in later on who want to get some of these older cards. This is a much easier way to get them. Next up, we have the Shining Magikarp. Now, this is a card from Neo Revelations that was redone again for Celebrations, and I think it's really nice because the Golden Magikarp is one of the most iconic shinies out there, along with the Red Gyarados. There was an entire few episodes dedicated in Johto, the Magikarp kind of evolving into a shiny Gyarados. Shinies were dealt with a little differently early on, or there wasn't a proper foundation to it, but nonetheless, it was a great starting point and an iconic Pokemon nonetheless. And of course, one of the most beloved cards in general. This card, I couldn't believe it was going for $10 for so long. I mean, absolutely crazy. Such a good card. And now it's finally just jumped, really just a vertical climb, not really sort of linear like you would hope to see. Take a look at recent sales. We're seeing it sort of plateau, going just genuinely around the $26 range. Nothing too jumpy. I wonder if this image is actually there because it would give us a great chance to see. So yeah, here we go, the card. I mean, this is not the best picture, but we can see a bit of the texture. So these cards do have texture on them, and it kind of permeates through the entire card, which is not common for these sort of half-art cards. If we take a look at the original, this is the unlimited version of the Shining Magikarp from Neo Revelation, and the TCG player price is $246. If you take a look at the eBay, PSA 9 and 10, I mean, there's just such a huge gap between these, but the 10 is worth outrageously high values. If we take a look at the first edition, I mean, you're really golden if you have a PSA 10 of this, or have a completely pristine copy that you think would get a PSA 10. But, as you'll notice, the Magikarp in the background are very hard to see in this version versus the Celebrations, where you can actually see the comparison. I mean, there's one Magikarp here, one here, but and there's another here, but it's so faded that you can't really tell. Now for a card that's actually part of the regular set, not the classic collection in Celebrations, that's the Mew Secret Rare. Shiny Mew, I think this is just the cleanest gold card. Like, I don't know what it is. I recently actually picked up this card, even despite its past 3-month growth period, with it going up from $18 up to $35. I found an absolutely pristine copy of this card, so I thought it was worth picking it up. This full art and the Snorlax full art, those look really stunning, and the Mew is so much more vibrant. Its blue is like this crazy nice pastel color, but $52 growth. But if we take a look at the past year, it's actually come down from that 26, and then in November it reached all the way down to $17, and then it started to pick back up and actually exceeded its previous high, going to 30. This card is one that I still can't believe is only, what it is right now, $51. But can you believe 3 months ago this was $15? I mean, it's the Umbreon Gold Star. Such an iconic card. Gold Stars are among the favorite mechanic sort of styles in Pokemon. A lot of people love these, especially because there's so many evolutions with the Gold Stars. The Flareon, they're all sort of shiny Pokemon, if you didn't know. So this Umbreon is actually shiny because it has the blue tips instead of the yellow. There's that to note. Umbreon is, of course, such a loved Pokemon. It's the most popular evolution in a line that's already got so many loved Pokemon. This is at the pinnacle. And again, huge growth. I mean, over the past year, we see it going 245%. It was $15 for the longest time. It was only in late December, early January that really spiked up. I actually picked up this card way back when it was going for about $10 or so USD, so it was about $15 Canadian for me here. So it was a great deal. I picked it up, a very, very good copy. I'm really happy with this card, but long term, the Umbreon Gold Star is just far, far too difficult to get in its original form. If anybody wants this card, Celebrations is really the way to go. This card might find itself in the crosshairs of a lot of collectors in future years. Next up, this is such a unique card that I didn't even know existed until Celebrations came out. To be honest, I didn't really pay that much attention to WotC promos, really. Now I do. I collect them, a decent number of them. The Blanks Pikachu Celebration Classic Collection card. This is basically, the concept was that you could write down your name right here. So I don't know, Ash's Pikachu, May's Pikachu, Serena's Pikachu, whatever your name is, you'll just put it in. And then you got the Pikachu just kind of blowing out candles. It looks very, very, very cute. Again, crazy. And this is the one that's probably jumped the least over the past 6 months. Over the year, yes, it has grown decently, but in the past 6 months to that late December, early January phase, it still hasn't literally skyrocketed. Going from $8 to $13, not too insane. And if we take a look at recent sales, we see that it's still kind of maintaining that valuation. It's a bit of an anomaly. I would ignore that. So yeah, generally seems to be staying along that $12 line. A great Pikachu addition to your collection. Especially if you are a Pikachu card collector. This is just fantastic value. And next we're going to be going over the 3 OGs, the Venusaur, Blastoise, and Charizard, all finally picking up in value, but still very, very undervalued. This Venusaur being $7.65. But of course, a lot of people kind of bought these in bulk as well. That's like another thing to know. So, if you bought many for like $4, pretty nice gain. 121% growth. Of course, the OG Venusaur, OG Blastoise, which over the past year has gained 116%, and then finally the Charizard, which is almost past the $100 threshold over the past year, 55% growth. It was actually staying around $70 for a decent period of time, and then it's finally gone up. When I pulled this card first, it was about $100. This was, funny enough, when I kind of got back into Sword and Shield, and I realized that Celebrations was a thing. I stopped during Sun and Moon, early Sun and Moon, because I opened a Guardians Rising box. I saw the sets coming. I was just kind of out of it, interest. Plus, they kind of ruined Ash in the show, which just totally annoyed. Kind of stepped away. Sword and Shield, I just came back in a time where, cards was just my interest. Collecting again. I just really wanted to resume it. I came across some of my old binders and just reinvigorated this fire in me. And so when I went back to one of the LGSs that I used to go to as a kid, I grabbed a single Celebrations pack, and lo and behold, the Charizard was in there. Literally jumped in the air, collapsed onto the couch, and just stared at it for 10 minutes. I was just absolutely blown away. I guess that's first pack magic if I've ever had it, because I definitely didn't have it again after that. But a very nice, memorable card for me. And again, the point stands when I was talking about these cards being so much more accessible in Celebrations. Unlimited, I've actually been collecting the unlimited cards recently. Getting near mints is definitely difficult for a lot of these cards. If you want a really clean copy of one of these Zards, if you don't want to get the evolutions one, the Celebration one's there as well. Next up, we're going to be moving on to some sealed, and we're just going to be talking about really how it's been moving. So if we take a look at Celebrations, in the past year it's grown 52%. But I want to compare this to the 20th anniversary set. So if we go to Generations, and we search up the ETB, we see that, of course, the Generations has a bit of a unique design with like Pokemon, starter Pokemon sort of forming the 20, and then the Pikachu, of course, the cheeks this time with the 2-0 instead. Presumably when 30 comes out, it'll have the 3-0. If we take a look at the price right now, $661, absolutely insane. Of course, I do think Generations is a better set than Celebrations, but they both are very different sets at the same time. Generations is a completely new Radiant collection. It has Mega Pokemon, X and Y. A lot going for Celebrations is more of a hit to nostalgia. Unless you're into vintage, you might not enjoy that set as much, except for maybe the Gold Mew. But if we think about this sort of milestone set, it had quite a nice uptick from its original debut price. Celebrations, I don't know if it'll hit this value, in the same span of time or not, but there is no doubt that it will rise in value. I see a future of growth for that. Particularly ETBs in general tend to do really well, even if the set is mid. Booster boxes, if you grab it for MSRP, that's fantastic. If you get it for a little bit of a markup, Celebration is not going for crazy value still. So, with 30th anniversary around the corner, if you want to grab Celebrations and then have the, 30th ETB coming, when I assume it'll be a special set as well, just by the pattern. So, you could build that collection over time as well. It might be very interesting to have something like that. Next, and this is a product that, I just think this will be one of the best products, from Sword and Shield long term, especially because Pikachu is such an iconic Pokemon, but we have this fantastic artwork, the V-Union, and then the full art version, which is just jumbo sized, and this is just different illustrators doing different artworks for Pikachu. Looks so great. There's so many gorgeous Pikachus here. 31% growth over the past 3 months, but 41% gain over the past year. I think this might definitely hold the test of time. Celebrations pack. The packs are not really the star of the show here. I'm talking about this as a sealed piece that I would not open. I picked one of these up as well, and I'm just gonna hold it for a while. Next up, we have the Celebrations Premium Figure Collection. Again, another really good product. Generally, I've found that figure collections tend to do well over time, although this is a really hard one to hold on to because of this massive size it takes up. One gripe I have with a lot of sealed products in Pokemon is they take up too much space. I don't think we need the jumbo-sized Pokemon. For instance, the Zapdos versus the Alakazam 151 boxes. The Zapdos just takes up too much space versus you could do something like with the Alakazam, which is so much more economical space-wise. But anyway, that little tangent aside, we have a Jumbo VMAX Pikachu product, official, product right here. I actually have one of these boxes set aside as well. 20% gain over the past year. I got this for a pretty good discount, actually. You also get 2 promo cards in here, a V Pikachu and a VMAX Pikachu, both featuring the stamps. Tons of Celebrations packs, and a few sort of mid-range Sword and Shield packs. We got like Vivid Voltage, Darkness Blaze, Chilling Reign, nothing crazy. Again, a good sealed product, but a lot of Celebrations. So in the future, if Celebrations does take off, there's a decent number of packs here as well. And then finally, we'll take a look at the Pokemon Center ETB. I do like Sword and Shield Pokemon Center ETBs so much more as sealed because they have different designs at the front. And I just think that they could have done that so easily for Scarlet and Violet. Instead, they did put the stamped promo card. But, as a sealed product, they don't really have a big difference except for that one little line that says Pokemon Center on it. I wish they would go back to this Sword and Shield style where they had fantastically different artworks, especially for things like Crown Zenith, Evolving Skies look great. I personally have from Sword and Shield 2 PC ETBs. I have the Lost Origin and the Brilliant Stars ones. I never got the Celebrations one, but I wish I did because it looks really good. For the past year, it's grown 49%, pretty nice gain, and I don't see this really slowing down. If Celebrations, regular ETBs grow at a certain rate, this will definitely have an uptick beyond its gains. Finally, this is the last product, and I meant to say the best one as well, I think, because we have a tin for every single generation up to Gen 9 with the starter Pokemon. It's such a clean product. We have we have the Kanto box, the Johto box, Sinnoh, Ho, and Black and White, which would be Unova, Kalos, Alola, and then Galar. All of them, all the starters. Looks great as a sealed product as well. Honestly, in terms of the sealed design, I like the second two prismatic evolutions, which looks great as well. I mean, actually, you know what? It's a preference. If you're not the biggest fan of evolutions, I'd say this is probably the best. Regardless, you know, the past year, not as insane a growth story. $146. Still got room to grow. But the thing about mini tints is these are the products I see the least of often. Getting restocks or sort of reprints. You know, once they're out the first time, they really don't come down that much. Crown Zenith mini tints, I remember once they came out, literally never saw those sealed displays after, you know, that first month. So, you know, the celebrations one, it was there for a long time. I did pick up one of these at I think 110 Canadian, which is 76 or $77 rounding up, $77 USD. So, you know, a nice growth there. But, you know, just as an example of how low you can actually get these mini tints, you know, moving forward, at least, you know, once hype sort of, maybe if it dies down a little bit in Pokemon, just as a note, you know, mini tin sealed displays are really a nice investment as well. And then if you can't get those, the Costco ones are also pretty good whenever they come out. You know, Paladin Fates came out recently, 151, although 151 is kind of scraped, so understandable if you couldn't get it. You know, Paladin Fates was completely ignored for a while, so that was like an example of an opportunity there with mini tins. Now if we see Paladin Fates mini tins, those are going up pretty decently as well. Overall, those celebrations is just a set that's just been slept on quite a lot. A lot of these cards you can see are still going for $3, $2. This Garchomp is great. I really like Cynthia, so obviously that card is a pretty nice one. The VMAX Pikachus, the V Pikachus, they're just insanely cheap, and the VMAXs have the texture as well, so it's pretty nice. And they're almost like, I don't want to call them altars, but they're not standard VMAXs. They're like replicas of the OG, you know, flying and surfing Pikachus. Those were revisited in evolutions, and then this time we got like modified versions of them. Dark Gyarados, Luxray, Rocket Zapdos. I think we should keep an eye on this Rocket Zapdos with Rocket coming out. A lot of Pokemon and trainers, particularly trainers tied to Rocket, are kind of blasting up right now. You know, the Hidden Fates, Jesse and James, the 151 Giovanni, the Shrouded Fable, Persian. So maybe this Rocket Zapdos might be, you know, in line to grow a little bit. Same with the Dark Gyarados. But yeah, hope you all enjoyed the video today. Let me know in the comments down below what your favorite card is from this set. Personally, for me, at value, I would say that the Umbreon is definitely the star of the show, particularly as Charizard has multiple iterations of it. You know, this card has just crazy number of revisited artworks over time. This is definitely a great card. And then the Mewseeker Rare is definitely second for me. Still a great set, and you know, I don't think it's too late to get some of these cards here. But yeah, that'll do for today. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.